Welcome to Literature Out Loud, sponsored by RMU Radio and Room, the Robert Morris University Literary Magazine. I'm John Lawson, Professor of English Studies at Robert Morris. Today my guest is RMU's visiting Rooney Scholar, Mr. Luca Guardabascio. Luca hails from Rome, Italy. He's a filmmaker, director, writer, and actor whose area of expertise is Italian cinema. His special interests include neo-realist films, such as those of Visconti and Rossellini, Italian political cinema, documentaries and comedies, as well as new Italian cinema. He's also the author of 5 books. Luca Guardabascio, welcome to Literature Out Loud.
Thank you, John. It's a real honor for me to be here today.
I'd like to focus today on the relationship between literature and cinema, and I'd like to start by asking you about your own literary and cinematic beginnings. Take us back to your roots. How did you get involved in writing and film?
Well, my roots come directly from my mother and my father, because my mother, she's a French teacher. She teaches literature, and my father teach art. And so when I was a baby, I saw all the time this paint in my house, and my mother that start to explain a lot of story, but not just the fairy tale like Cinderella, Snow White, but she started to me explain the Odyssea, the Iliad by Homero. So I was very curious. So I asked about Shakespeare, I asked about La Chanson de Roland, La Chanson de Geste, King Arthur. So you know, a baby 3-4 years old, all this information on the mind, on brain, and when you are a baby, you want to act that part. So you start to invent some story with your imagination, and then you want to act. And I remember that all the time I can act 3 different characters. One was Charlie Chaplin with my little mustache here. Another one was Oliver Hardy with my hair here. I don't have a lot of hair now, but at that time I had a lot of hair. And another one was Adolf Hitler. In this way, but with the same mustache. Yeah. And I remember all the audience. So when I was 3, 4, 5 with my cousin, my sister, we start to have this kind of activity for the relatives, for the family. And my roots come directly from the Greek mythology, because I love that story. I love Persephone, I love Zeus, I love Pluto, and the Arpia. I don't know the exact term in English, but I know the Italian word. So I love Apollo. I love that kind of literature.
Oh yeah. How about early films from your childhood?
Well, when I was a child, we saw a lot of American movies. We saw, because in Italy, I remember that time, my father was a big fan of Steve McQueen. So we start to see Steve McQueen, that today, if you want to show to a baby that are 4 or 5 years old, they really don't understand a lot, because it's a little bit violent. But in Italy, our roots come from the American cinema. I come specifically in my own life from Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Jerry Lewis, the Marx Brothers, much more than the Three Stooges, much more than the other. So I grew up with this thing, and so I began in the cinema when I was 13 with my little camera to make some parodia, and my point of reference was director like Jerry Lewis, because Jerry Lewis is a total filmmaker for me. He's not just a comedian. If you see every single scene of Jerry Lewis movie, he moved the camera in a perfect way. And this is amazing, because if you see some comedy, like for example Woody Allen, that for me is like a god too, but Jerry Lewis used the camera much more better than the other one in comedy. It's not just slapstick. He used a dolly, he used a spider cam, he used all the things. And Jerry Lewis then was the first one that invented the video assist. So you have a pellicola, he was the first director that put a VHS camera near the pellicola. So he was a genius. And when I went here the first time, I was surprised, because my roots is not the American roots. If I talk about Laurel and Hardy, with some children, so with some students, they say, what? If I talk about Three Stooges, they understand. If I talk about Jerry Lewis, they don't know Jerry Lewis. So our culture is different because, for example, we don't have a lot of Bob Hope movie in Italy. We don't have a lot of Danny Kaye movie. We don't have a lot of Three Stooges movie. We have Jerry Lewis. So our tradition is very close to this. And we have a lot of actors like Totò. We have a lot of actors like Alberto Sordi or Nino Manfredi that are very close to people like Marx Brothers or Aaron Lloyd. I don't know if you remember
I
Aaron
do.
Lloyd. And not to Three Stooges, because Three Stooges for us was like a cartoon.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fascinating.
Yes.
Returning to your experience as a writer at this point, would you take us through a brief description of your own career as a literary/scholarly writer and as a screenwriter?
Yes. Well, my career started when I was 6 years old, because with all this stuff in my mind, with all this imagination, when I have 6, maybe 7 years, I wrote like 70 fair little tales. And my teachers say, "Oh, this is amazing. I want to print this book in 300 copy for you." So I was just 7 years old, and for me it was like a game. And at that time I understand that it's important to write for you, but it's important to write for the student. So some of my book are specifically for adult audience, because I like sci-fi, thriller, horror movie, horror writer like Stephen King. I love Rod Serling, the Twilight Zone creator.
Me too.
So yes, it's amazing. And so I like this kind of story. But when you write like a scholarly writer, you have a novel, you have to take care, because you don't have to use a lot of bad words. You don't have to use very difficult context. So your writer has to be very easy, and you have to take a lot of historical references. So you have to come in the student brain. And in this way, I'm a little bit like Peter Pan, because when I have to write something, I try to think like a guy that still stay in the primary school. So what do you want to know?
So it sounds like your books are basically written for a school-age audience. Is
Yes,
that correct?
this one, my own, A Private War, it's a very, very important argument, because it's talking about the war, Palestinian and Israel. And this novel talking about a friendship, Israeli guy with the Palestinian guy, that they live together in same house but in Italy. So in a crazy context, because you know the Italians are a little bit crazy. So with the different rules, with the different laws, with the different political distortions, and so they are friends. But the argument was very important, and I editor say, Luca, you have to clean something, because there is a lot of sex in this book. There is a lot of bad words. So if you clean something and you make another version of this book, I put on the book some test for the student. So I have this test that talk about who is Arafat, when the first wars pops in Israel, and this kind of thing. It was a success, because I sold 10,000 copy of this book. For Italy is a success, because not a lot of people read the book, unfortunately, in Italy.
I'm afraid the same is true here. How about your screenwriting? What kind of screenwriting have you done?
Well, I like tragicomedia. Tragicomedia, it's a mixed fusion of tragic and comedy. In Italy we have this tragicomedia after World War II, and we call commedia all'italiana, because the Italian people, they overcome all the situation, even the much more difficult situation like a war. So Pirandello, one of my favorite authors, say that the comic is one thing. The comic is when you laugh immediately. Humoristic is when you think, that that person is ironic and comic because maybe that person have some problem. So I like to describe a man in a contest. Maybe it's funny, but why is funny? But why this man has a mask? Why this old lady looks like Marilyn Monroe, for example? So she's just funny, or maybe she has some trouble. So this is our society, because in our society, all the people put a mask in their face in the society, because you are a professor, but maybe you are a husband, you are a bad husband, but you are a good professor.
How did you know?
So, and I like this kind of thing. And then I like the noir movie, the thriller, and the first of my movie, and this book, Uomini Qualsiasi and Giorni Qualunque, it's a marron. It's a new genre that I invent. This genre is a fusion of thriller and the spy story.
Would you translate that
Yes.
title for us?
Yes, it's some particular man in some particular days. So it's like the thing that happened day by day, because I explain men that for some particular reason they are in some very strong situation that change completely their life. So or they overcome, or they get luck, or they lose. But a lot of these people are loser because they take off their mask and they show to the society their own face. And maybe the society don't want to see your face. Yes.
A very Pirandellian theme.
Yes.
Luca, you have this wonderful multifaceted background as a film director and actor, as well as a writer of all kinds of stuff, screenplays and books. Would you tell us about the relationships you've been able to observe between screenwriters and directors?
Yes. This is a relation very strong for me, because when I write something, my imagination see the movie. And this is important because when I write something, it's like synesthesia, we call, no? We can
Synesthesia.
You can see the place, you can hear the sound, the music that you want to put in this book. And so frequently when I write a story, I say, maybe this story is perfect for a movie. And it's an honor for me when sometime the audience, the people, read my book and then see my movie that I based on book and say, it's the same. It's the same. It's not frequently that the book it's like the movie. So I have a very, very strong connection when I write, because I think for in scene. So I see the actor, I see the relation, but of course you don't have to put a lot of dialogues on book. Then I take the book and I say, yes, this is the book and this is a good suggestion, but now I have to write the dialogues. So the dialogues, I have to go out sometime in the street and I have to see the people like they speak. So I like to follow the people. Maybe sometimes they put me in jail, I don't know. I like to follow the people, and I like to talk with the people for understand their inflection, their dialect, their way to say. So this is important when you want to do some particular movie from your book.
So when you have directed films, have you also written the screenplays for them?
Yes, the 50% of time, yes. Sometime when I work with some university or like some documentary, I just use my camera for like a pen, like a pencil. I say, I know that John Lawson is a very interesting man. I open the camera and I try to feel what he's thinking. And so it's a lot of improvisation, but time by time I use my camera like my pen. I don't know where I go. Other time, people give me some screenplay. It's true, and it's nice because you don't have to think that you are a writer. So you have, for example, in the commercial, they come with a commercial and they say that's it, because it's some particular brand that they don't want that you change. And it's funny too, because you try to understand your poetica, your way, your point of view in that screenplay that somebody else write for you. So it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah. I'm interested in your comments about how you go about making documentaries, because I've always wondered if you sort of wrote a script first and then went to video, or whether you just collected video. It sounds like that's the case.
See, the documentary, you know the history. In the documentary, I love sometimes the legend. So I open the door with the legend. For example, the Brigandate, we have this bad period in the 1861 after our unification until 1898, 1900. So we have this bad criminal story. And for some people they were like heroes, for other one they are just criminal. So I take the story and I put the frame. This is the story, but I wanted talking about the legend. So the legend can open you in the documentary some way that where you can put your background too. So if I interview you, I have to be a good director, because sometimes and good screenwriter, because sometimes I'm able to let you say what I want to hear. So I have some basic question, I have some basic story, but then sometimes I interview people that they are very shy. You speak with them on the phone and they say yes, because me this thing. Then you go there and they are shy. So you have to understand the key to open that door.
Yes.
And it's not very easy. So a good documentary has to be a good psychologist, a good analyst.
Yeah. Who are your heroes? We talked about your early influences, but as you've matured as a writer and a person involved with film, who stand out as major role models and heroes for you?
Yes, I like, for example, Kafka. Franz Kafka is one of my heroes, and his character sound to me very, very new, because I started to read Kafka when I was 12, 13. It's not easy. Or like Marcel Proust, you take and then you leave, then you take and then you leave, then you take and then you leave. For example, I have this Thoreau.
Thoreau, yeah.
Thoreau
Walden.
is wonderful for me, because it's a sense of the freedom. So in some particular time of my life, I take some book that can give me some suggestion. But before this, I like to read the biography of the author, because I'm first interested in what they think, what are the contests, and then I open the book. For example, one of my author that I like is Cornel Woolrich. Cornel Woolrich is a spy story thriller guy, and he lived like Master Proust all the life alone, and he just write. But he has such imagination that I say, how this man could think like this one. If you read Virginia Woolf biography, if you read Franz Kafka biography, if you think, you understand that sometimes the crazy people are genius. So, and I like Jack Kerouac. I like Kerouac. I like Charles Bukowski. And I love this guy, but they have a very crazy life. Wow.
Yeah,
So I don't say that they are my heroes, but some of their character, some of their book are for me, leave to me a great imprinting in my way to see the life.
Interesting. And how about, I hate to put you on the spot, it's an unfair question, but if you could name one or two Italian directors who've been major
Yes,
influences
absolutely.
on you.
I love. It's not very famous, but I love Franco Zurlini. He was a documentarist, and he made a very, very amazing movie, The First Night of Calm, with Alain Delon in 1971. And the same trench that Alain Delon have is the same that Marlon Brando used in the Last Tango in Paris.
Trench coat?
Yes, the same one.
Interesting.
The same one. And I love this director that the people sometimes forgive, like Giuseppe De Santis. He was one of the neorealism father, and I love Vittorio De Sica. All know of Vittorio De Sica much more than Rossellini. And I love Visconti, but I love Visconti because he's a very, very, a very Hollywood touch sometimes. He made this movie about Ludwig II of Baviera that you have to see this movie. But
I'm just watching it, as a matter of
the
fact.
director's cut, you have to see.
Well, I actually am not sure about that. I just got it on VHS, an old VHS I picked up.
And then you want to go in Munich and see this castle. Is amazing. Is amazing. And then I love Sergio Leone. Sergio Leone was the last one that invented something in Italy. The last director. He invented the spaghetti western. And the people think in Italy that he came from America, and he's yes, because you know when you sound like American, the people say he's America. I want to go to see this movie. And the first nickname of Sergio Leone was American nickname. The name was Bob Rafelson.
Oh, I've seen that.
See,
name,
Bob
yeah.
Rafelson is another director, so he changed and he say Bob Rafelson, then say exist another director. So I call Bob Robertson. And the people go because they think that was an American movie, so with Clint Eastwood or Charles Bronson, Henry Fonda, and then he made this amazing movie, Once Upon a Time in America, with Robert De Niro and James Woods. That is a real masterpiece.
I've seen it, yeah. Could you tell us about current trends in Italian cinema? What's new?
So you want about the crisis?
Well, actually, I wanted to move to the crisis in the economy next, but first I wanted to ask you about new Italian filmmakers.
Okay,
and
new Italian filmmakers, yes. The new wave you talk about. Well, I think that I feel myself like a part of a new wave, but in a very independent way. And the director that today I love, it's people like Paolo Sorrentino, that he just shoot a movie with Sean Penn. It Must Be the Place. They shoot in Dublin, but this guy, he has a very Italian touch. The new generation are in touch with some Italian-American director. If you see that movie, you can see that their roots come directly from Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, Michael Cimino, or Francis Ford Coppola. So they are really in touch with them. Other directors that this new generation in Italy love are John Milius and then Paul Schroeder. Paul Schroeder was the writer of Taxi Driver, for example. And Paolo Sorrentino is one of this director. Another one is Matteo Garrone. Matteo Garrone made amazing movie like L'Imbalsamatore. L'Imbalsamatore is the people that take the animal and he
I'm not sure I want to know.
yes. So
no, I'm kidding.
yes. So and L'Imbalsamatore, and then another movie is Gomorra that I showed the other day here in RMU. Gomorra was a very strong movie.
I saw that. That was Garrone?
Yeah, Garrone. It was Matteo Garrone. And then this new generation has a lot of power, because today the director has the eyes on the world. Before we are in our little country and they say, oh, we are the best in the world. Sometimes it's true. You see Fellini, you see Pasolini, you see the Visconti. But sometimes they are very proud of themselves and they are very pushed. So they're not very good director. But today, this new director, I really like. Sorrentino, Garrone, Crialese is another one. Tornatore. Tornatore, it's not the new generation, but it was Nuovo Cinema Paradiso. New Cinema
Oh,
Paradiso
yeah,
was
yeah.
a masterpiece. And Gabriele Salvatore's, that he made some movie like I'm Not Scared. I don't know if you know this.
Don't know it.
Yes. And the new generation is keep in touch with all the world. So this is the future.
Yeah.
Don't stay in your own little village. Go out, like I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised because you think that America is in a certain way, and then you arrive and you understand that something that you have in your mind is not true. Because
And have you been to America before?
no,
Interesting.
no, I never been.
So what hit you about America that seemed to contradict your image?
Because Hollywood shows some particular thing.
Sure.
Yes, and when you come here and you see that the people are very friendly in Pittsburgh, I say. I went in Baltimore too, and they were very, very friendly with me. And sometimes people say, "Oh, don't go in Baltimore. Take care, Baltimore in this way." But I enjoy my time. I enjoy really my time, like I'm enjoying Pittsburgh. And well, if you go in New York, the people maybe are much more stressed. because
Well, I'm originally from Virginia, and we had the same story about New Yorkers that they're hostile and not friendly at all. I've gone there and been treated just wonderfully. So
absolutely, absolutely. But sometimes the movie that they show in Italy are just a movie like you think that they think about us that we are mafia, spaghetti, and mandolino.
Yeah.
So you think that America has some other thing. And another thing that I didn't know that in America all is so big. You order something, and for tea is small, and for you is small, and for them is big. And then you take the chocolate, and you say, but this chocolate, it tastes like stick. And then you say, protein chocolate. So it was the food culture is totally different from the culture that we have in Italy. Totally. And I feel a little bit sick. Because in your DNA you have attitude for eat everyday meat. In my culture, I have attitude to eat everyday carbohydrate, not meat. So sometime about my diet, I have to take care because it's very different.
Yeah,
Very different.
interesting. What's the drinking age in Italy, if there is one?
The drinking.
Yeah, is there an age? Can you only drink at a certain age?
Well, 18
Uh-huh.
18 years. But I was drunk when I was 15 the first time. So, well, in Italy, this kind of, if you don't drive and you drink, maybe the policeman come and you say, guys, go home. But I saw in UK, in Dublin, that sometimes they take you and put you in jail, no reason. In Italy we have different cultures, so sometimes they are very friendly. The policemen too. They come, okay, we go to take a beer together, maybe tomorrow. But now you go home, guy.
Let me bring this around to the issue you raised earlier, which is one of the reasons you've come to RMU at this time is to help us celebrate the 150th anniversary of Italian unification and independence. And it's strange timing because, in a certain sense, the economic crisis seems to be threatening Italy's independence in certain ways today. I know that you're strongly interested in politics, and I'm wondering how you are responding to the economic crisis in Europe, and especially that seems to be engulfing Italy.
Italy lost the middle class. The middle class was the filter of our society. The middle class was the power of our society. When Berlusconi came in charge, he teach to all the Italian people, you have choice to be the best one in the world. I don't say that Berlusconi is wrong or he is right. But a lot of people say, okay, Berlusconi start from the bottom. He play piano on the boat, and look at this. Now he's very wealthy. Berlusconi for us take the place of the American dream. Berlusconi for us was the American dream. So the people start to spend money, the people start to buy very stupid thing, not one car, maybe 3 cars, not one house, maybe 4 houses. And the price of the house in Italy is very expensive. And then you have the mortgage, that the mortgage is today is in this way, tomorrow is another way, so you begin crazy. Then the taxes. The taxes, a lot of wealthy people don't pay the taxes in Italy. And I don't know why we don't have very strong rules. Why these people don't go in jail, I don't know. And all the poor people pay the taxes. I say that we are in crisis, but the people that was wealthy, was rich, they are very, very wealthy. They are bling bling men, like you call here. And the middle class now is poor. So we have just one chance. We have the beautiful country in the world. 70% of our architecture are historical architecture, and we have to use the tourism to fight the crisis. We have to advertise much more Italy, not just with the bad thing. Because the Italian like to be victim. I don't like to be victim. I'm very proud to be Italian. The people when the Italian when they go out, oh Italy, oh they don't pay you, oh they don't. No, you have to fight because this is your country. You have to speak loud because our country is the best one in the world, and I'm very proud to be here because you people, American, you know that your country is the best one in the world. Because it's your country, it's like your mother. Sometimes I don't understand. The people go out and say, oh man, Camorra, Mafia, it's not just this one. You have to this in this way. What I have to do?
Roll up your sleeves.
What I have to do? I have to work. I have to start to take my farmland. Why I want to be a director? All the people want to go to the Big Brother, all the people want to go to the Jersey Show, all the people want to be a director, actor. There is other job. You can make a pen, you can make a piece of paper, and not just. So Berlusconi was a bad example for a lot of them, because they believe that tomorrow in Italy you could be a new prime minister. Berlusconi maybe make a lot of effort to arrive in that position, and he have a lot, maybe a strong connection. The poor guy that come from the village, maybe 1 on 1,000 could be like Berlusconi, but not all of them.
Sure. Well, interesting. What's next for you? Where do you? What projects do you have ahead of you?
Here I have a project about our Italian actress Eleonora Duse that she died in 1924 in Pittsburgh, and she said that was the worst town that she seen in her life. Why? Because at that time the snow was black.
Yeah.
Because the Steelers, because this city was full of pollution. Now it's an amazing city. I want the title of this documentary is "How is Beautiful to Die in Pittsburgh." It's like "How is Beautiful to Die in Naples." We have this song in Italy. So I'm filming. Then I'm film a very important project for me about Edgar Allan Poe. For this reason, I went in Baltimore because I know that they want to close the house museum of Edgar Allan Poe, and this is very bad. They want to close because the Maryland and Baltimore mayor don't want to give them much more money. Why? Because they stay in a very, very, they call it bad area. So with a little bit of criminality, but don't care. If you give much more money, maybe all the community can work in that project. So I worked there and I interviewed some people. I went to the Edgar Allan Poe's grave. Then I go in Richmond because there is another.
That's my hometown, as a matter of fact.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
There is the museum, Edgar Allan Poe Museum. So I go there. Then I go in Philadelphia and in New York. Another project is my next book. This is another summer that come in a couple of weeks, and is very important for me because I took a year, 1983, that for me changed the Italian way of life.
And could you do that title for us in English?
Another Summer. Another Summer. So, was the first time, 1983, when the socialists get in power in Italy. Was a year where a girl named Emanuela Orlandi was kidnapped in the Vatican. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And nobody knows where this girl is today. Was the first year when the world discovered the HIV, the AIDS. Was the first year.
HIV.
And then was the year of the peace in Lebanon. And but was a year they're talking about a summer of children that in that particular summer they lost their innocence because they commit a murder for joke so if you read the book you understand.
Oh wow.
So I come in a couple of weeks and I want to show this book in December, maybe in Bloomfield or Lawrenceville. So I invite you to this presentation.
Wonderful. Look forward to it.
Last project is a movie that I'm shooting here and in Buffalo. I shot something. And the title is A Feeling Dead. It's a tragicomedy that I finished to film in Italy in spring. And I have distributors in Italy, Brazil, and Sweden. I hope that I have some distribution in America too. So I'm in touch with a very wonderful people, Joe D'Andrea, and he has an Italian community named is Amici, and Amici it means friends, and maybe they give me some money. But I want to say thank you to the Robert Morris University and all the people that is in my project, like Michael Di Lauro, Ray Zapparoni, and Gregory Dell'Omo, so all the people, because it's a good help, a good hand that you give me for this project.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Luca Guardabascio, I really appreciate your coming in to talk with me today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in America. Sounds like it may be rather extensive. Let me try to say it in your language, and please don't be insulted if I butcher my pronunciation. Multi grazie e buona fortuna.
Perfect, 99% perfect.
Great. Well, my guest today has been Luca Guardabascio. This has been Literature Out Loud, sponsored by RMU Radio and Roon, the Robert Morris University Literary Magazine. I'm John Lawson. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.